I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm out in the garage working on the MK2 Escort. Whilst I've been working on the Pinto engine, I have been busy inside of the MK2 Escort as well. Now, I have mentioned this before, but I've been doing nothing interesting. I've just been grinding down and neating up some welds. I've also started to bare metal the outside of the dash, but I've also bare metaled the inside because it was very rusty. So yeah, I'm just finishing off bits and getting everything in primer. But today I'm going to be spending a little bit more time in the engine bay to try and tie off a few loose ends that I've got going on here. The main one being is the heater bowl. That's been missing for a while now, and yeah, it's about time I tackled it and get it welded in. As you can see, it sits in there quite nicely. There are some gaps though, here and here, where I'm just having some small aligning issues, and I'm not too sure whether it's down to this bowl, because I was looking at this top bit of metal and it's not actually central. As you can see, it's a little bit to one side, so I think I'm going to have to drill out the spot welds for that to actually line the bowl up, and then I can weld it back in the correct central place. And also, to go on, I have the scuttle, but I think I might be screwing that on just because I don't want to weld it, so I can remove it in future. So yeah, that will be going on after the bowl. I have been busy in the bay as well. I've neatened up some of my welds, and over here they still need a light skim of filler, but they look 100 times better. I've welded up all the holes I need to now because there were a few random ones dotted about the place. And yeah, I've blanked off where the fuse box will go because I'm going to relocate that inside the car. So overall, I'd say the bay is getting there, but there are a few more modifications we're going to have to do when we start to think about putting the Pinto engine in. Now, when I talk about additional modifications to the engine bay, this is something that Darren French gifted me. Now, this is to allow the radiator to sit slightly forwards when you put the Pinto engine in. There's not a lot of room for the radiator, so I need to cut out this section. And yeah, this basically goes something like that, but obviously it'll be down there. So yeah, that's definitely another thing that I need to weld into the engine bay. Now, along with this lower panel that allows the radiator to fit in the engine bay, Darren also gave me these corner pieces. Two that fit onto the radiator like so. They pretty much just slot in there, and the other one slots in something like that. And the other two corner pieces go back here. Now, I've still got my little lip on there, so that needs flattening down or taking out. And then they fit on something like that. Obviously, they'll need a little bit of adjustment and whatnot. But yeah, something like that. That's our objective for this week's video, to try and get all of them bits welded into the engine bay, because once that's done, I think we're going to be very, very close to being able to start to prep it and finally get the engine bay painted. So without further ado, let's get tackling this engine bay welding. As I've already mentioned, I do think this is slightly off centre, so I'm just going to remove this top bit of metal, see how the bowl lines up, and then I can weld it back on. So yeah, I'm going to drill out the couple of spot welds that it's got. Right, the bowl is looking a little bit better now. I have decreased the gaps that were there and here. What I did have to do is I bashed down this bit slightly so I could get the middle bit to sit flatter. But I've been looking at this pattern heater bowl and I'm not really happy with it. Now, yes, I completely understand it's a pattern part, but something else I've just spotted. The lip slightly goes off to the end here and then gradually finishes, and then there's a flat bit of metal. However, on this other side, the lip gets bigger and bigger and bigger and then drops off. And that's pretty annoying, because when your brain is wired up like me, everything has to be symmetrical. But I'm going to fix it. So this side's there's a lip of about 0.5 mil. It gradually thins out down to there. So on this side, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slightly grind this away so it slightly thins out and then it's flat like the other side. That's one modified heater bowl. As you can see, this lip now gradually goes down and down and down. So yeah, I'm much happier with that, and I drilled my holes out too. I've got to say, I found this with a lot of panels that I've plug welded on this car. It's much easier to see the light at the end of the tunnel once you've got the plug welds drilled out, because now I'm mocking it up, I can see which ones are closed, which ones aren't, which ones need a slight bit of adjustment. But yeah, this is looking a lot better now. Really happy with that. I think that I'm finally getting somewhere with this heater bowl. I've now got this top bit of metal now realigned up. As you can see, the previous plug weld there, it's literally moved a centimetre, if that, but that is how far it was off. Obviously, it's got to be central to line up. Keep outdoing myself somehow. I think I'm just gradually getting a little bit better at welding every time I pull that trigger. I have just quickly ground down the weld slightly, but yeah, I am chuffed with these. I've been lining this up again. I've got this slight little bulge at the top here, so I'm trying to line it up with this, so I believe they're both central. And I've also got 2 points here, one there and one here, just that I'm lining them up with. And yeah, this is looking real good now. I'm not going to lie to you guys and say every hole is lined up, but what I'm going to do is tap down gently to try and get these ones a little bit flusher, but I don't want to distort this lip or anything. That's the closest I've had this all day. It might seem like it's taken me ages to actually get this bowl to line up, but yeah, this is just the truth of it. I thought I was just going to be able to put it on there and weld it on straight away, but no, there was a little bit of adjustment needed. I've now prepped the inside of the heater bowl, and I'm just going to hit it with some primer, probably a few coats because I'm not going to see this again, but I'm just going to pay special attention not to get anything along here because I'm going to put some weld through primer on these. The time has come. It can feel a bit daunting welding in such a big part like this, but we're just going to go ahead and smash it out. This section has had about 3 or 4 coats, and the inside of the bowl has had the same. You can see up here, this area looks a bit different to the rest. That's because I had all them welding patches there, so I put a bit of sealant over that. That's the bowl all lined up now. I've been looking at this for a good 10-15 minutes, just tweaking it, but that's as close as I'm ever going to get it. So I need to weld it in now. There's no going back now. Now there's really no going back. I've just got back in the garage and I can't stop staring at the heater bowl that we welded on yesterday. If you guys have been watching from the start, you'll know that this is actually the first point where we started with the Escort project. I removed the heater bowl, which then revealed all of the rust in this section down here, so we've replaced all of that and we now got a heater bowl on. I've already said what I plan to do in this video, so up next are all of these little triangle pieces which go in the corners of the bay. So I've already started to take off the primer from these areas, and yeah, I'm just going to get to welding them in. Quick little update. So these two front ones are fully welded in. I ground down the welds as much as I can, but it's quite hard to get in there at the moment. I need to get my belt sander in that little crevice there, but I managed to flat off the welds along this bit, so yeah, they look pretty cool. I am chuffed with them. I've just been mocking up these next corner pieces. I was trying to work out how they fit. I thought all I had to do was bring that lip down, but they still don't fit, so I might just leave these plates for now and I'll have a little think about that. Moving on, I'm not going to ponder on them triangle bits for too long. If someone comes up with a suggestion of how I can fit them without removing quite a lot of metal, then I'll go for that, but as it is, I think I'll just leave them off. The next thing we're going to tackle is that radiator cutout. Now, there is a bloke who's done this on YouTube already, so I'll leave a link to his video in the description below. Darren actually sent me it and it was so helpful. So yeah, first things first, I'm going to need to remove this bit of metal here, little strengthening bar, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to try and uncover the spot welds. I believe there's a couple down here and some that hold it to the front panel. Success, finally. What I'm going to do now is start to mark up this area before we cut it out. Here is my rough outline for that piece. I'm just going to cut this top section out, then I can measure how far I need to go down with it. I've been tweaking this bracket now for ages, but it's finally getting somewhere. So this top bit is all nice and flush with the body now, so I can weld that in. These side bits that go down though are slightly angled, so it's going to be a bit tricky to weld them in. I might have to fill that up a little bit with weld, but it's not the biggest gap in the weld, to be honest. And I have had to modify this slightly, because if you see this bottom panel here, it's at an angle, and my bit of metal was at a right angle, so it was going down. There's no way I could have welded them together. I've put an angle on this ever so slightly, so it now lips round onto that metal. You can see it a bit better here, lips round onto it. What I'm going to do now is remove the bit of metal and just bare metal that whole section and put some weld through primer on it, and then we'll try to tackle welding this in. I've been making good progress, and I have actually just used the Rust and dosed it inside here, because once I weld in that panel I won't be able to get behind here again. I've just got this last lower section to tackle with the twisted wheel. Let's get it all down to bare metal. It's now nearly time to weld in the lower radiator cutout section. I've just turned on the welder again, got that all set up. The plate isn't actually in position because you have to hold it, but yeah, I've got it all lined up now. This area's all been bare metals and I've got some weld through primer on there, so there's only one thing left to do, and that's weld it in. It's now the following day and I've finally finished welding in this lower radiator section. The welds along the top are very neat and I've ground them down, and the ones on the sides I didn't even bother grinding them down because I thought they looked quite neat already. I have also managed to weld up the bottom bits. Now this was a lot more challenging, but they are welded up and I've ground them down just to make sure that they're all nice and neat. To finish up that section and to make it look a little bit neater, I'm just going to get the body sealant out and go over the welds, and yeah, we should be looking a lot better. Doesn't that just finish off the job so much? Bit of seam sealer. I've also done the bottom as well. Really happy with that. That looks brilliant. What an improvement we've made to this section of the engine bay. I'm so pleased with the way I've managed to fabricate that lower piece in there, and it still looks semi-original with them holes sort of carried on. Whilst I was waiting for the primer to dry earlier, I did go ahead and extend the cut on the top bit of this front panel. Now it looks very capable of fitting a big old radiator in there. And just another shot of the heater bowl welded in, because why not? That's a brilliant bit of progress that we've made in this week's video. Not only did we weld in the heater bowl, which I've been putting off for a little while just because I wasn't too confident on how it was lining up, but we also fitted that lower section to allow for a bigger radiator. So yeah, massive steps taken in this week's episode. For anyone that does want to support the channel, I do have Mark II Escort project stickers that you can purchase. They're only £3 each, or 2 for a £5, and included in that price is free postage anywhere in the UK. If you are outside the UK, it's just a small extra fee. But a massive shout out to anyone who has purchased a Escort project sticker, because it really does help the project, and it's already allowed me to fund certain parts. I think I'm just really excited now because everything is coming together, and yeah, it doesn't look like an absolute mess now in the engine bay. I do just want to quickly add that I owe Darren French a massive thank you for the lower radiator panel and them little corner pieces. He has gifted me some more goodies for the rear axle, and yeah, we'll be getting onto that in some future episodes, but for now I really appreciate it, mate, so thank you very much. With all that being said, if you did enjoy this episode and you are enjoying the progress on the Mark II Escort, please give this video a like, and if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel to see more. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, I'll see you guys later. That was lucky. Don't know how much I'm allowed to show on YouTube. This blood. Fuck's sake. That really hurt.